Hello, everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this incredibly fascinating topic. Today, our main goal is demystifying the absolute whirlwind that is your baby's development from 1 to 12 months. We're taking the data, the research, the developmental timelines, and really breaking them down so we can visualize exactly how a tiny, sleepy newborn transforms into a walking, babbling, fiercely independent toddler. I mean, it is a staggering amount of growth compressed into just 365 days. It's a magical journey, it is undeniably exhausting, and we're going to explore it step by step.
So, to keep this journey easy to digest, we've organized things into a clear agenda. First, we'll cover what we call the golden rule. Then, we break the year down into 4 distinct quarters: months 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, and finally, months 10 to 12. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Section 1, the golden rule. Every baby goes at their own pace. You know, as a parent, it's just so easy to compare your child to others, right? Especially when you're scrolling through social media or chatting in a parenting group. But the source material gives us this absolutely vital reminder. The development stages of every child are different, but theoretically, babies will follow these milestones throughout their first year of life at their own pace. I really want you to absorb that word, theoretically. This is the most critical, reassuring concept you need to keep in mind before we even look at the physical timelines. Some babies might be crawling at 6 months, while others might not even be rolling over yet. Some talk early, some walk early. These milestones are just theoretical guides. They're a roadmap, not a strict pass-fail test. So take a deep breath, trust the process, and let your baby take the lead.
Moving into our first quarter, Section 2, months 1 to 3, the observant newborn.
Think of this first quarter as a very gentle, quiet phase. Your baby is fresh to the world, just taking it all in and quietly observing everything around them. During these early weeks, it's really all about their awakening senses. Their physical movements might be pretty limited, but their sensory development is incredibly rapid behind the scenes. For instance, they're fascinated by bold black and white patterns. Why? Well, because their tiny retinas simply aren't fully developed enough to process soft pastels or complex colors yet. High-contrast visuals are just the easiest for their developing eyes to lock onto. But even more than high-contrast toys, they start noticing faces, specifically your face. You are literally their favorite source of entertainment. And most comfortingly, they already recognize the sound of your voice, which acts as this reassuring anchor in a massive brand new world.
So, let's see how this builds physically. In month 1, it's all about tiny neck movements. They can move their heads side to side when lying on their stomach. By month 2, they're getting stronger, holding their head up and beginning to push up on their tummy. Now, we have to acknowledge the universal parental struggle here, tummy time. Babies tend to loudly and passionately protest tummy time, complete with the red little faces and frustrated grunts. But it is absolutely essential for building that core and neck strength. And you know, all that hard work really pays off by month 3 when they become active participants. They're swiping at dangling objects, suddenly realizing they actually have hands they can control, and impressively, they're developing different cries. You'll literally become fluent in their language, knowing exactly which sound means hunger, which means pain, or which means they just need a diaper change. Which brings us to Section 3, months 4 to 6, the interactive infant. The newborn sleepiness is totally wearing off now, and your baby is officially transitioning into a highly expressive, interactive little person with a blossoming personality. Just look at the active verbs here. In month 4, your baby can hold their head steady all by themselves, and they start to giggle and laugh. That first true belly laugh is pure magic. In month 5, we see major movement, rolling over from their tummy to their back. Of course, this massive physical milestone almost always happens when you least expect it, usually right in the middle of a messy diaper change, right? It's also accompanied by lots of adorable babbling as they just entertain themselves. Then month 6 is a blockbuster. They start creeping along the floor and can even sit unaided. They are literally gaining a totally new vantage point of the room. We have to pause for a second to marvel at what's happening with their little hands here. By 6 months, their hand-to-hand coordination is unlocking new worlds. They're seamlessly passing things from one hand to the other, testing weight, testing texture. But what should you really take away from this? It's how they explore. Their absolute favorite tool for investigating anything and everything is their mouth. If an object is in their hand, you better believe it is going straight into their mouth. We're talking wooden blocks, television remotes, your car keys, and absolutely their own toes. It's not just them being hungry. It's a completely normal, sensory-rich, and crucial part of how they map out the shapes and textures of the world around them.
Let's kick it into high gear with Section 4, months 7 to 9, the mobile explorer. Okay, so your baby is no longer staying where you put them. They're on the move, their curiosity is at an all-time high, and your living room is officially their playground. In month 7, massive cognitive leaps allow them to find partially hidden objects, and they discover the absolute belly-laughing joy of playing simple games like peekaboo. Month 8 changes everything. They begin crawling and can even stand up while holding onto something. This is the exact moment where baby-proofing is no longer optional, it is mandatory. Every floor lamp, pet food bowl, and coffee table corner is suddenly a target. By month 9, their communication evolves. They're pointing fingers at things they want and making lots of varied sounds, delightfully copying you with a constant stream of mama and baba baba. Now, I want to quickly highlight a specific term from the source data that pops up right in the middle of this quarter, the pincer grasp. This is defined as using the thumb and index finger to pick up objects, and it usually develops around 8 months. So why is this a big deal? Well, mastering the thumb and index finger is a huge evolutionary leap in fine motor skills. It means they no longer have to clumsily palm objects with their whole fist. It also means they can start picking up small pieces of food and begin the messy, wonderful journey of feeding themselves finger foods. So get ready because this is the phase where you will inevitably find crushed up Cheerios in every single crevice of your couch, your rug, and your car seat. And here we are, the final quarter, Section 5, months 10 to 12, the communicator. Your baby is almost a toddler now. They are highly active and desperately trying to interact with and understand the mechanics of the world. Tracking this final timeline is just an absolute joy. In month 10, they're pulling themselves up to stand and fully feeding themselves thanks to that refined hand-eye coordination we talked about. Month 11 is brave and, let's be honest, a little nerve-wracking for parents. They might start crawling up the stairs, always closely supervised, of course, and their babbling suddenly gets distinct changes in tone. It starts sounding remarkably like a real conversation in a language only they speak. And then, month 12, the grand finale. They may stand completely alone, balancing like a tiny champion, and they might even take those incredible first few unsupported Frankenstein-style steps. But right before they walk, they do something called cruising, which usually kicks in around month 10. Cruising is simply shuffling along while holding on to furniture. It is basically the adorable crab walk stage. Picture them using your living room sofa, the coffee table, or the TV stand as their own personal handrail, shuffling from side to side. It is brilliant, necessary practice for walking. It helps them figure out balance, leg strength, and weight distribution before they finally build up the courage to let go entirely. There's another major breakthrough in this final quarter, specifically right around 11 months, which is a massive cognitive leap called object permanence. This is the understanding that objects continue to exist even when they are hidden or completely out of sight. Remember when peekaboo was just a literal magic trick to them? Well, not anymore. Now they know things still exist when they can't see them. And this perfectly explains why separation anxiety suddenly kicks in. Because they now know you still exist when you leave the room, they actively miss you and want you to come back. Object permanence is exactly why you'll likely no longer be able to go to the bathroom by yourself without a tiny, very dramatic audience crying at the door. Let's just slow down for a second and celebrate these one-year achievements. Look at how remarkably they interact with the world by 12 months. They start using things correctly. They know a cup is actually for drinking and a brush is for their hair, not just for chewing on. They respond to simple spoken requests and directions. They use basic, purposeful gestures, shaking their head no or giving a proud floppy wave bye-bye. And their vocabulary is expanding into clear exclamations like, uh-oh. Think about where they started just 12 short months ago as a sleepy newborn. Now, they're officially active, responsive participants in your daily routine. It's truly astonishing to look back and see how much transformation happens in just 365 days. From a quiet infant who could barely lift their head to a cruising, waving, babbling little explorer with a mind of their very own. Which leaves us with one final exciting thought. With those magical first unsupported steps out of the way, what incredible new adventures will year 2 bring? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep encouraging your little ones. Remember, they all go at their own beautiful pace, and I'll catch you next time.